Hello, everyone. Welcome to the episode 79 of Soul Lead Saturday. The guest we have today, Jay Feldman, is an osteopathic medical doctor, investor, and serial entrepreneur. In addition to owning multiple seven figure companies, Jay is the host of Mentors Collective podcast. He has been featured in Business Insider, Entrepreneur.com, and Inc. for his success in businesses. So let's just welcome him and hear more about his career journey. How did he find his area of interest and managing to lead that? Hello, Jay. Very happy to have you on the show and really appreciate all your time and consideration being on the show.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, thank you so much and really appreciate it. So moving towards our first section, which is more about passion or the interest. So the first question that we always ask to the guest is that, how did you find your area of interest in medicine? And what steps did you take to pursue that passion or find particular field in the medicine field, and what motivates you to be where you are today?
Sure, great question. So, unlike a lot of the people that I went to medical school with, I did not have any doctors in my family. I actually kind of stumbled onto it by accident.
Mm-hmm.
My freshman year of college, I was a psychology major because I had no idea what I wanted to do, and ended up getting dragged into the hospital working as an emergency room scribe because one of my friends that I played volleyball with did that. And absolutely fell in love with the learning and being able to heal and interact with people.
Uh-huh.
All of the reasons that people should want to go into medicine. And the more that I studied science and biology and healing and medicine, I fell in love with the subject matter. And that's really what drove my interest. And once I get my mind set on something,
Mm-hmm.
I won't stop until I achieve it. My
Mm-hmm.
problem is that once I achieve it, I get bored and I go do something else. But the medical field is really amazing. The subject matter is amazing. Being able to have the knowledge and power to heal people is amazing. But really, that the drive comes from internally. Really, it's self motivation. Like I said, I didn't have any doctors in the family. It was me setting my mind to medicine and deciding to pursue it until I did it. And I had a lot of failures along the way, a lot of failures afterwards, but ended up, achieving what I set out to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, that's great actually. So you actually got the real practical experience to find your passion. So that is a advantage, I guess. Maximum you get the real experiences, you can find your interest or the passion way earlier than just only studying the academics field. So thank you so much for sharing that. And moving towards our next segment is questions from the audience, where I have shortlisted a couple of questions for you. And the first question that we have is, what do you think about American primary healthcare delivery? That is status quo, total private systems, and national health insurance.
So, like I said, I fell in love with the subject matter of medicine and healing. It wasn't until I graduated medical school that I started to kind of hate it.
Mm-hmm,
And for the reasons that you just mentioned, what do I think about, healthcare administration, the pharmaceutical industry's grasp over the American healthcare system and what it allows doctors to do? It's no secret that the healthcare system is broken. The solution is not as simple as people think. That I don't know what the solution is, but you can kind of identify where it's broken.
mm-hmm,
There's too much responsibility put on doctors to document every little thing as critically as possible, or else they're liable for losing their medical license on $1 million lawsuits. And that forces doctors to practice in a certain way that we don't want to practice, that we shouldn't have to be forced to practice in. It forces us to spend too much time on a computer. And then on the other side of this, you've got the pharmaceutical industry and the hospital administrators saying what you can and can't do for patients depending on their insurance.
mm-hmm,
So now you're stuck at a computer and you can't practice the medicine that you believe in that is right for that patient. And
mm-hmm,
it's left doctors in a really precarious spot. And that's one of the reasons I no longer practice clinically. One of my major passions and always has been is alternative medicine.
mm-hmm,
I think Western medicine has shamed alternative medicine and has dismissed it for various reasons, including research and money that's backing it.
mm-hmm.
But it's broken. Everyone knows it's broken. No one knows how to fix it. So that's what I'm set out to do.
Uh-huh. That's great, actually. And the way you are mentioning, as there is a lot of things that has kind of a burden on the doctors, and I can completely agree on that point, where we are also trying to get AI introduced into the healthcare so that it can be helpful to the doctors as well. So let's see how we can have that common point or the integration between the technology and the healthcare systems. So thank you so much for sharing that. And the next question that we have under the same segment is that what are the negative aspects of being a doctor, and what impact do you want to have on the medical profession?
Sure. So two very different questions packaged in there. The first one I kind of touched on in the first part, but let's just talk about all the horrible reasons there are to be a doctor. Because there's a lot of good and a lot of bad. And in full transparency, it depends what field you're in. Sometimes the good outweighs the bad. Sometimes the bad outweighs the good. And sometimes the situation's getting worse, like for primary care physicians in America. You have physician assistants and nurses that are coming up and taking over a lot of the roles that those primary care doctors traditionally filled. And it's going to lead to less jobs, lower pay, and not as fun work to do. Whereas if you're an orthopedic or a plastic surgeon, life is good, but it takes 14, 15 years to get there, depending on the route that you take. So is that worth it? So all of the bad things about being a doctor, let's talk about primary care specifically, because that's where most doctors practice. It's either as an internal medicine physician, a family medicine physician, and we'll even lump emergency medicine within that, and pediatrics. The pay, not very good. There's a common misconception that all doctors are rich. They are not. Primary care doctors average, let's say generously, $200,000 per year as a salary. If you live in New York or California, you take 40% right off the top of that. Now you're left with $120,000 a year. Malpractice insurance, student loans. Guess how much my student loans are. This will be a fun game. I want you to guess how much I owe in student debt.
I don't know. It is expensive actually, because I also did masters here and that was expensive. So how was that?
Yes, put out a number. This will be fun.
It's like 100K or something.
Higher.
Higher than that? Oh wow.
Yeah, it's more than $400,000 right now. More than $400,000. So if I'm earning a salary of $200,000 and I have to pay the full amount back every month, that's $20,000 to $30,000 a month in student loan repayments. Now, as an entrepreneur, now I don't have to do that. I'm on a strategic accounting plan where I only have to pay about $5,000 per month instead of the 20. So that's beneficial. But as a primary care doctor, now you're only taking home less than 6 figures per year, which after all of that training is not very good. Not very good. And that covers most of doctors. I think it's 70% of doctors fall into that bucket. So if you want to make a lot of money, this is not the career for you, especially not in America. And it's hard work. It's a lot of note taking. It's a lot of liability risk. You're always on the verge of being sued. You're always having to triple check your notes, work overtime, and there's an emotional damage that comes with it, especially being in a hospital every day. It sucks a little bit of your soul out to be surrounded by all of that suffering and trauma and pain, and having to say no to people who need your help, and having to tell families that somebody's sick and dying. It's a draining process, and God bless everybody that goes in there to do it day after day. Seriously, God bless them. But those are the drawbacks that you're kind of signing up for when you're going into the medical field. And people don't tell you all of these things right away. Everyone wants to raise a doctor. Parents, mothers, fathers are encouraging their sons and daughters to be doctors because it's a noble profession. There's not many of those left. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's a lifestyle.
Yep. And what impact do you want to have on the medical profession?
So like I said, I'm very passionate about alternative medicine. I think it's way undervalued on the West. The East, obviously not so much. And the main reasoning there, I believe, is because all of the funding for research that happens on the West is funded by pharmaceutical companies to push the drugs that they're creating and the treatments that they're creating. So if you're looking at these double-blind placebo-controlled studies with 5,000 participants, they don't happen for alternative medicine ever. because there's no financial incentive for them to prove that turmeric works, for them to prove that fish oil works. So it's all small studies that have a lot of confounders that are contradicting each other. So my goal is to educate. I want to blow the lid off this thing and help people incorporate more alternative medicine into their lives and live a healthier lifestyle without having to push pills down your throat. There's a lot of amazing things that you can do that don't involve you ever having to see a doctor. Yes, I mean, terminal disease, people who are very sick, Western medicine is a miracle. It's amazing. But there's so much more out there, and the stuff works despite what a lot of doctors tell you. Not everything works for everyone, and some things are total junk. So you have to really be able to sift through it and know who the experts are. I wouldn't even consider myself one, but I follow lots of experts, and I digest everything from every angle, from the West, from the East, from the research-based to the plant-based and the animal-based. And that's the best thing that you can do, is educate yourself and experiment with things that are not going to hurt you, but potentially make you better.
Yep. That's very valid point, actually, that you have to experiment to get better at something. So thank you so much for sharing. And that was really very useful and insightful. Moving towards our next segment, it is kind of a fun segment where I'm going to give you 3 keywords which are more or associated with your profile. And you have to tell me kind of a replacement word or whatever comes to your mind after listening to those words. So are you ready?
You're going to say a word based on my profile, and then I'm going to spit back a word.
Yeah, you can just replace the word with something, or you can just tell me like a short definition or whatever comes to your mind whenever you hear those words.
Okay. Can we play a game?
A lot more associated with your profile, actually, what you do. So are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first word is doctor.
Medicine.
Second word is investor.
Cryptocurrency.
And then the third word is entrepreneur.
Otter PR.
Okay. So you gave me like a very professional answers, actually. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing that. Moving towards our next segment is about exploring your career, work, and volunteering. But as we covered a couple of things related to the medicine, actually, I'm going to segment is more over like about your volunteering work, actually, that I came across. So you have worked as a medical volunteer for 3 years. Would you like to share more about it, and why do you think volunteering is important?
Sure. And for anyone who's thinking about a career in medicine, it's not optional. This is required. You have to volunteer. And there's a reason for it. It's enlightening. It's an amazing experience. You get to go and see people who really need your help and give back to the world and learn from others in your field. And you need to find a volunteer experience. And I found a great one. I would love to share it with you. I volunteered with Remote Area Medical, and this is when I was very young, still in high school and college. And we went around the country, the United States, to very low income areas with specifically in the Midwest, where people didn't have doctors. They didn't get regular checkups. They didn't have dentists. They didn't have ophthalmologists. And we set up tents, we set up camp in schools, and they lined up to come get free medical care, to come get shots, to come get their wounds looked at, to come get free dental work, to come get their eyes checked out. And I wore a lot of hats there. Obviously, I wasn't a licensed healthcare practitioner at the time, so I wasn't able to actually provide healthcare, but I spent a lot of time watching and talking to them and interviewing them, learning about their life, learning about their problems, their diseases that they haven't been able to see any medical professionals for. And it was very enlightening. And that is one of the reasons that I ended up going into primary care after medical school. Wanted to help these types of people with really basic stuff that happens to everybody that they can't seem to get help for. And that kind of led me along the way to other volunteer experiences, but that was the most profound. After that, it was more professional volunteering, galas and business stuff. But for anyone looking to get in the medical career, that is an absolutely amazing experience. I know a lot of people volunteer in hospitals doing like patient carrying work, carrying them around, in the emergency room, doing various duties. I think that's an amazing experience too.
Wow, that's great actually. And the other side that you mentioned, right? You got the real experiences as well as it's kind of when you get into the people through the volunteering experiences, actually, you learn from a lot of diverse people as well and grow. So that is a very important aspect of volunteering because you're not restricting yourself, first place, because it is volunteering and it gives you an immense opportunity to explore that particular field.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that. And the next segment that we have is a tips and advice. You already mentioned so many things related to the medicine and the doctor. What are the challenges associated with it, as well as how expensive it is? And it is the way actually when I was growing, I always see this doctor or the medicine field as a family business. I never saw it like anybody can start it now and establish as the well famous doctor. So it takes a lot of hardships and a lot of work, as you mentioned, it is a lot more expensive. So any tips or advice would you like to give to the students or the professionals who are looking to get into this medicine field and grow in it and looking this as their long-term career option?
Absolutely. Love this topic. Anyone who's looking to get into the healthcare as a field needs to think very hard about themselves and be very real with who they are and what kind of life that they want to live. Nowadays, primary care doctors don't make much more than physician's assistants, now called physician's associates. Maybe
Mhm.
that's a better career for you where you actually get to do procedures and get to jump different professions. It's a almost an equally good and respectable job as being a doctor. So I would say even better.
Mhm.
So a lot of people get pressured to be a doctor because of the nobility and the historical context around being a doctor.
Mhm.
But I will say it is not the job that it used to be. And if you ask kids growing up now in America what their number one job is, what they want to do when they grow up, guess what it is? What do you think it is?
Is it a doctor?
No, it's a YouTuber. They
Oh,
want
yeah,
to be
YouTube.
they
Yeah,
want
I
they
know that.
want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah. That's true.
our generation is all about lifestyle. And if you value lifestyle, if you want to live a life of with freedom and friends, medicine might not be the career for you. Now, if you're dead set on being a plastic surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, I know a lot of them, all of them, you don't become one until your late 40s that are very happy, very, very happy. But it takes a long time. It takes a lot of hard work, and you have to sacrifice your youth. But for some, it's worth it at the end. So go shadow. That's my biggest thing. Go find somebody who does what you want to do, and
Mm,
go follow them for as long as you possibly can. And
mm,
don't just look at their day to day in the office. Look at what their life looks like. And
mm,
if you meet enough of these people and follow enough of them, you're going to notice some patterns emerging. A lot of them live similar lives. A lot of them are the same level of happiness. A
mm,
lot of them are the same in the same place socially. A lot of them have a similar personality, and that doesn't happen by chance. That happens because of patterns emerging from similar tracks in life. It's a long, hard journey with emotional beatdown. And I apologize for crushing everybody's dreams who's listening because I feel like I'm just negging it the whole time. But it's an amazing career for people who want to heal. It's
mhm,
a horrible career for people who go into it for the wrong reason. And
mm,
that's the moral of the story. I know a lot of people who went into it for the wrong reason or expected something that it was not.
mhm.
So, and that's myself included. I expected something that it was not, and I should have put more time in up front. Luckily for me, I found a way to use what I've learned and build a life around it, doing health influencing, health coaching, video courses, and working one on one with people, practicing the medicine that I want to practice. But that's a very entrepreneurial endeavor.
Mhm, mhm. Yep, yep. And
It-
this is like a very true statement, actually. I think, irrespective of any area that you said, that, look
yes.
for what reason you are getting into that field, actually. So if you are getting for the wrong reason, definitely you are not following your passion and getting into the right direction to grow in that particular field.
Yeah. It's
Oh, yeah, yeah. So thank you
sorry.
so much for sharing that. And I'm really enjoying this conversation. But with the time limit, we are moving towards the closure segment, which is more about leadership. And no doubt you are truly leading your passion because you have found your ways, actually, how you can be stable in this particular field, as well as how you can keep your interest going as well in this particular field. So you are truly your like leading your area of interest. So what is your leadership style, and any specific leader that you always follow and admire, and why?
Sure. And leadership wasn't something that really became important to me because I wasn't a quote unquote leader for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But then realized how important it really is. And as a doctor, for people who have finished residency and now you're commanding a team, you're
Uh-huh.
leading a team, I highly recommend reading and studying about leadership strategies and how to talk to people that you're working with, how to interact with people that you're working with. My leadership style is very hands off.
Mm-hmm.
I like, and I'll be quite frank, I was a bad leader about a year ago before actually studying leadership and how to interact with your team. Because now I run a company with 32 people. I'm in an office most days, and being a leader really, the context is different now. I'm a different type of leader than I was back in residency, per se, and it's really about people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the biggest piece of advice I have is if you're bad with people, you're not going to be a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
So study people, read lots of books. I watch lots of YouTube videos. I've taken courses on leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would recommend people do. My leadership style doesn't matter to you. It doesn't matter to your audience
Mm-hmm.
unless you're working for me. You'll find your own leadership style, but you won't even know what that is until you take a step back and
Mm-hmm.
actually think about what is leadership? What does it mean to me? How can I get better at it? How was I? Asking people that you're around or that you work for what their opinion is or if they have any constructive feedback about you as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Very helpful. But that's my advice is if you're going to be a leader, which doctors are leaders,
Mm-hmm.
they're leading a whole medical team, learn leadership. Take a month out of your time to study leadership. You've studied so much medicine, you've studied so much books. I promise you could spare the time to study something else other than medicine. And that's one of the things I love to teach. There's lots of stuff out there other than medicine that makes you a better human. And those things that make you a better human make you a better doctor. They make you a better entrepreneur. They make you a better lover. They make you a better friend.
Mm-hmm.
So studying leadership is just one of those things.
Yep, yep, yep. And any leader that you follow or admire, and why?
Tony Robbins, his style of communicating with people
Uh-huh.
and working with people. One of my best friends, Jesse Henry, used to work directly under him as one of his associates, and used to talk to me all the time about his leadership skills and what he learned there. And that's a leader that I respect. I try to emulate his behavior when he talks to people, when he interacts with people. So that's one that I definitely recommend everybody start to consume. Start to watch what he does and see if you can emulate Tony. You'll be the best leader in the world.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think you have given real practical way of, how one can get into the leadership side as well. So thank you so much for sharing. And I really enjoyed this conversation and hope that audience can get inspired from your learnings as well. So thank you so much. And bye for now.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So this is all about Jay Feldman and how he is managing to lead his area of expertise. It shows completely because he is a doctor as well as he is an entrepreneur and investor. So definitely you are going to get inspired by this particular episode. Before we close, as per our tradition, as we are talking a lot more about healthcare and human beings, wellness of the human beings, I'm going to close today's episode with a closure quote from Mother Teresa, which says, "The greatest disease in the West today is not tuberculosis or leprosy. It is being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for. We can cure physical diseases with medicine, but the only cure for loneliness, despair, and hopelessness is love. There are many in the world who are dying for a piece of bread, but there are many more dying for a little love. The poverty in the West is a different kind of poverty. It is not only a poverty of loneliness, but also of spirituality. There's a hunger for love as there is a hunger for a God." So, on that quote, we are closing today's episode. See you guys in the next episode. Until we meet, happy leading. Let's lead together. Stay safe. Bye for now.